remain standing as our parade of hats enters into the chapel. Immediately following, we'll have a welcome by Ms. Wiley Leandria Jackson.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leandria Jackson, Miss Wiley University 2023-2024, and I am excited to welcome you to our Women of Excellence Chapel this week, where our theme is Excellence in Balance, cultivating mental, physical, and spiritual health. In this special space, we invite you to explore the art of balancing your mind, body, and spirit. We prioritize mental health by embracing mindful and cognitive well-being practices. Physical vitality is not just about fitness, but also about the connection between a healthy body and a vibrant mind. We also honor the spiritual aspects of our lives, fostering purpose and connection. As we begin Women's History Month, you may be wondering why you see all these lovely ladies in these beautiful hats. During Women of Excellence Week, we honor Dr. Amanda P. Winters, affectionately known as Mama Winters. Dr. Winters was a Wiley alum, originally from Houston, Texas. Wherever you would see Dr. Winters, not only would you experience her larger-than-life personality, but you would take notice to her beautiful hats, matching purses, and matching shoes. After graduating from Wiley, Dr. Winters eventually came back to home to serve Wiley University as the Dean of Education. Dr. Winters loved Wiley and was a major advocate for the institution and every single student at Wiley. So today, we know Dr. Winters would be excited to see the legacy she left with Wiley. This month, as we celebrate women's history, the chapel stands as a symbol of strength, wisdom, and grace that women bring to the world. As you sit in this sanctuary of self-discovery, I welcome you to a blessed space where excellence and balance meet. Be sure to participate in the Women of Excellence events planned for this week, including the award luncheon and Dear Black Woman. Also, don't miss out on the Dress to Impress competition ending Friday, March 8th. Thank you for joining us in this journey towards excellence and balance. Thank you.
on, Wiley. If you've come with joy this morning, can you put those hands together? Open up your mouth and give God some praise. Come on, Wiley. If you've come with joy this morning, can you put those hands together and give God some praise? Amen. Can we give God praise for this great aggregation of women who have come to serve? Amen. I'm going to ask that you all please stand for our responsive reading and our call to worship. Our call to worship is found on the screen. If we can advance Trey to the next slide. We're grateful for our call to worship. We are excited to be in this season. Before I lead, is there a designated person who's leading this morning with our come on down? Let's give God praise for our former Miss UNCF.
Good morning, everybody. The call to worship goes as follows. God of Eve, Deborah, Hagar, Rahab, Mary, Madeline, and the Sumerian woman.
Grant life, give courage, grant justice, give protection, grant deliverance, and give refreshment.
For the witness of all bold women, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and allow their example to flourish in our hearts. And all call serve you in heart, mind, strength. Let us always be mindful to promote healing and hope.
Amen. Can we give God praise again for Miss UNCF? Former, you all may be seated in God's presence. We are so excited to welcome again you all to this sacred time of worship. We realize that we're in the season where we celebrate the women of excellence. Can we have all of the women of Wiley University to please stand that we might recognize you and give God thanks in your beautiful hats and in your fascinators. You look beautiful, you look great. So grateful for each and every one of you all. We have a preacher in the house and we want to ensure that she has her full time. So we're going to move very quickly through our service. We're going to advance to the next slide. We're going to receive now the Ministry of Dance and the Serenity Dancers who are going to come at this time. Can we give God praise for them now as they come? Amen. Let's see our dancers. Are our dancers still with us? So our dancers are still coming. Mr. Ashley, we can advance to the next slide. We have a couple of announcements, and I know that Janae is going to lead us in our announcements this morning.
Good morning, Wiley University. Here are your announcements for Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. Remember, we are still observing Lent, and you can join our Lent Bible study every Thursday at 7 p.m. through the month of March. Don't forget that the Office of Student Achievement offers tutoring online and in person. Scan the QR code in your program to sign up. It's FAFSA time. The next FAFSA roundup will be March 7th at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. inside Strickland Living and Learning Center. If you have not completed your FAFSA, please scan the QR code on the chairs in front of you or scan the QR codes inside your programs. This week is Women of Excellence Week, and today, immediately following chapel, we will have the Women of Excellence Awards luncheon inside the cafeteria. Tonight, we will have the Dare Black Woman event from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Please check the Wiley events page for the events for the rest of the week. Now, we will have a special announcement from Dr. Scales.
Good morning. Janae, you're tall. My. Can we all say congratulations to Janae Pratt again, our 11th Miss National UNCF. Congratulations, Janae. and encourage excellence in teaching, Wiley University has established an honor which is awarded annually and is sponsored by the Board of Trustees and the Ministry of the United Methodist Church. Faculty nominate their peers for this award based on teaching effectiveness, creativity in the classroom, student engagement, student outcomes, and examples of professional leadership. Today, I'd like to present to you the 2023-2024 exemplary faculty, Dr. Marie Jean Tabby. Dr. Tabby, if you're in the house, Dr. Tabby, please stand. Dr. Tabby holds a Doctor of Medicine, that's an MD, y'all, from the Higher Institute of Health Science at the University of Yaoundé in Cameroon, and has been with the institution for 9 years. Dr. Tabby is a true example of the university's commitment to excellence in teaching, research, and service. Let's give her another round of applause. We also have other symbolic and ceremonial honors bestowed to 3 other faculty members, each for this year's commencement. One professor is selected to be the commencement's distinguished Grand Marshal. The Grand Marshal assumes the responsibility of upholding the traditions and values that define our commencement ceremony. The faculty member in this role also leads the processional and the recessional, bears the university mace, and calls the commencement ceremonies to order. Faculty members have also served as platform marshals, faculty marshal, and student marshal, each leading the selected processional and recessional during the commencement. Customarily, the faculty who is selected as exemplary faculty also serves as the faculty marshal. Today, I also present to you the 2023-2024 Grand Marshal, Dr. Gamage. Is he here? Thank you. The 2023-2024 Faculty Marshal, Dr. Natalie Hill. The 2023-2024 Student Marshal, Miss Minnie Murray. Please give all of them a round of applause. Thank you.
I'm going to ask if Reality Edwards would come with her poem, and after that we'll introduce our preacher and hear from our choir.
Good morning. I am Reality Edwards, representing the Melvin B. Tosin Denzel Washington Forensic Society. Please support us tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the Hodge Center at our showcase. I also would like to thank all the excellent women in my life. You know who you are. This poem is titled Wonder Woman. The Black woman, she is proof of God. She is a wonder woman. Wearing strength as a cape and peace for protection, she is godly, holy, like grandmother's prayers. Sponsored by Blue Magic and Pink Lotion, she is classic, like symphonies. She can be spotted on the scene filled with beauty that makeup could never cover. She's smooth, like a Sunday's morning. And even when she's mourning, she's smiling. She has been a queen, rough and tough since Afro Puff. She can be spotted, holding it down like gravity, or holding you up like a friend, like a sister, like a mother, like a lover, because that is everything that she is. She shines with skin that naturally absorbs the sun rays and a soul with the power of the sun. The Black woman is necessary. Mighty enough to hold broken homes together with her bare hand, she carries it all so effortlessly, holding her torch of wisdom with elegance. She is intelligent, the creator of life. So precious that her value cannot be determined, ages like the finest of wine, struts with the strength of all her ancestors combined. She balances the impossibles and catches uh-ohs at the drop of a dime, will check and correct you at any time. Oh, brother, This sister can put you in your place with her eyes fixed on you, and be careful if she rolls them. She can rip a human in half. She is so blessed. She has the devil shook. She is protected. Her ears can hear cuss words in her sleep. She is not the fool you try to play her to be. She has never played tag because she been it. She has a keen detection for nonsense. She is diligent. On point, never petty. She could throw shade for days, but honey, she shines too bright. She chooses to fight with love and light, but don't get it mistaken. The black woman will go to war, and she will win. And know when she arrives, she did not come to waste time. Even when she is late, she is on time. On fleek throughout a 24-hour work week. She is the closest thing to perfection. A work of art, a walking museum of miracles, a gorgeous goddess. She is flawless. I mean, God showed out with this one. He put DNA in her that was so powerful, and success with her path. A seamstress that can weave and stitch full-blown men back together while parting her sister's hair. Her bonnet harnesses her wisdom, and her shoulders carries our culture. She rocks confidence like her favorite pair of denim. She is a fantastic soul sister. A bad mamma jamma, just as fine as she can be. The black woman is magical. She is excellent, and she is you. Thank you.
This morning, I'm excited to have an opportunity to again introduce another one of my doctoral mentors, the Reverend Dr. Danielle L. Brown. Before I even met Dr. Brown, I knew who she was, because if you're a preacher, if you're a church, you listen to other preachers. And Danielle Brown burst on the scene. She was preaching at everybody's church, it seemed, for a while. I was like, where did she come from? Who is she? And I'm grateful that as we started our doctoral process, our group grew so fast that we had to add another mentor, and I'm grateful that it was Dr. Danielle Brown. You all have met Dr. Goodman, Dr. Pointer. Dr. Brown was the calm spirit of our group. And so she is the 10th pastor of the Shiloh Baptist Church in Plainfield, New Jersey. She is a proud graduate of Virginia State University. Let me add that as the 10th pastor at Shiloh, she's the first woman to hold that position in their 115-year history. And so she is one of God's best preachers, and she is a fireball with God's spirit inside of her. And so I invite you to prepare your hearts and your mind to hear what the Lord will say through her as she will bless our spirits. So after our Women of Excellence choir, the next preaching, speaking voice you will hear will be that of the Reverend Dr. Danielle L. Brown, pastor of the Shiloh Baptist Church, Plainfield, New Jersey. Hear her now.
In celebration of Women of Excellence Chapel, Wiley University is excited to welcome the Reverend Dr. Danielle Brown to the Julius S. Scott Senior Chapel. Dr. Brown is a preacher, scholar, mentor, and the senior pastor of the Shiloh Baptist Church in Plainfield, New Jersey. She is the first woman to hold this position since the church's founding in the year 1908. Reverend Dr. Brown holds a Master of Education and Bachelor of Science degree from Virginia State University, a Master of Divinity degree and Master of Arts degree from New Brunswick Theological Seminary, and she holds a Doctor of Ministry from Palmer Theological Seminary. An increasingly sought-after preacher and workshop leader with the ability to communicate across multiple generations, Dr. Brown has had the opportunity to share the gospel throughout the United States and in South Africa. She is a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Wiley, let's put our hands together and welcome, after the singing of our hymn of preparation, the Reverend Dr. Danielle Brown.
been holding you up, so there's nothing I can do to let you down. It doesn't take a trophy to make you proud. I'll never be more loved than I am right now. Oh.
Going through a storm, but I won't go down. I hear your voice carried in the rhythm of the wind to call me out.
You have crossed an ocean, so I wouldn't drown.
You've never been closer than you are right now.
You are, you're enough, and I will be in every circumstance, 'cause you are, you're enough. Jireh, you're enough. Jireh, you're enough, and I will be in every circumstance, 'cause you are, you're enough, forever enough, always enough, more than enough, forever enough, always enough, more than enough. Help me say, always more than enough, forever enough, always enough, more than enough, because you are, you're enough, you are. And I will be in every, 'cause you are, I'm already loved, I'm already chosen, I know who I am, I know what you've spoken, I'm already loved more than I could imagine, and that is enough. Say it with me. I'm already loved, I'm already chosen, I know who I am, I know what you've spoken, I'm already
Come on, can you put your hands together and celebrate this singing aggregation? Jireh. Can you just look at your neighbor and say, you are enough, that you're already loved, just like you are. That's good news today. Come on, put those hands together and celebrate God and the goodness of our Lord. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. We have worked and worked, and finally here we are with you at Wiley. A shout out to all of the women in the house, women of excellence. Come on, put your hands together for the ladies in the house. We certainly do honor your president, Dr. Felton, and our dean of the chapel, Dr. Duffy, and also Dr. Tenniel. We thank God for him. And just how amazing. All of the Pointer Brown Goodman Fellows are the cream of the crop, but it's good to come and see where they're being impactful and effective, and it's also just good to see my colleagues. It is so good to be with you, Wiley, today. I want to get right to it, and so if you don't mind, I want to invite you to meet me in Esther, the 4th chapter, and I'm going to read there verses 10 through 16, Esther, the 4th chapter, verses 10 through 16. And if y'all usually stand, please stand for the reading of the word. And the word of the Lord reads this way. And shout out to those who are online. I got word that Shiloh is watching. So, hey, Shiloh, I'll be home tonight. Then Esther spoke to Hathach and gave him a command for Mordecai. All the king's servants and all the people of the king's provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king who has not been called, he has but one law, put all to death, except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter that he may live. Yet I myself have not been called to go into the king these 30 days. So they told Mordecai Esther's words, and Mordecai told them to answer Esther, do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, go gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law. And if I perish, then I perish. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. You may be seated. And shout out to Miss Wiley. And Mr. Wiley and Miss Senior and what is that, Miss Sophomore and Miss UNCF. Y'all put your hands together for them. The book of Esther is set in the capital of Persia. Persia is a place of prosperity and prominence, a place where many of the Jews settled on their way back from Babylonian captivity. It's in this place that we also learn, as we read through Esther, that Queen Vashti sets a very necessary boundary. This boundary leads to her being ousted as queen, and this leads to a nationwide search for a new queen. Esther, a young Jewish girl who is an orphan, who's being raised by her older cousin Mordecai as his own, is selected from all of the young women of the provinces, and she becomes queen. Like Vashti, though, Esther sets a boundary. She gets the position, but they still don't know all of her business. They don't know all the details of her life. They don't know that she's Jewish, and she's kept these details close to her heart. Esther is now in position, and she has a platform. She's in the palace, and she is the queen. Can I put a bookmark there early for you and say, you never know where you will end up in this life, and that's why you should never discredit your station or your season, because God can take you from being an orphan living in your cousin's house and make you queen in the king's palace if God feels like it, and he'll do it just as fast as God feels like doing it. Esther has what we would call today a major glow up, but that's not it. There remains chaos. There's still some evil lurking around, and while she is safe in the palace. Her people are not. Her cousin Mordecai refuses to bow to Haman, one of the king's officials. And in response to him not bowing to Haman, Haman goes to the extreme. See, the king had set out a decree. All of the officials were required to bow to Haman. But can I suggest to you today that if Haman was an honorable man, the king would never have had to send out a decree demanding honor for him. Can I give you this tip and give it for you for free? Honor that is demanded is not honor. It's called obligation. Naturally, Haman, because he is of small and shaky character, is enraged about what he views as a lack of honor, and he is going to pay Mordecai back. But instead of just going to Mordecai, he decides that he's going to convince the king to kill all of Mordecai's people. Insecure people with a lot of power is dangerous. That's why we've got to keep engaging in the political process. That's why we vote. That's why we must hold people accountable and ask the right questions, because bad character on a big stage puts everybody at harm. And so Haman gives the king a half-truth, which results in the king turning over his power by way of his signet ring. Y'all don't mind, Wiley, if I just tell the story, right? Haman gives the king a half-truth, and now the king turns over his power. Hey, you can use my signet ring. And now Haman was free to use it as he pleased, which meant whatever he affixed this seal to had the power of the king backing it. Brothers and sisters, can I tell you something else? I'll tell you if you lean in real quick. Come on, lean in. I know that your back's to work. Come on, lean in. Lean toward me so I know that you are listening. Don't you ever give away your power. Don't you ever give away your power. Don't ever let anybody speak for you. Don't let anybody make moves for you. Don't you ever let anybody determine what will be for you. And certainly don't allow other people to use you to destroy somebody else. See, Haman suggests a decree that will kill all of the Jews, not just dealing with the one person who made him mad, but anyone who looked like who made him mad. Him and all of his kinsmen. See, insecurity and unbridled rage will always make you go too far. See, the decree gets rolling and the word gets out and Jews are on notice, and it gets to Mordecai, and now Mordecai, he is devastated. He tears his clothes and puts on sackcloth and ashes. He goes out in the midst of the city and cries with a loud and bitter cry, and the people go back and they tell Esther. Esther sends her servants to come with clothing to take his sackcloth away, to help him essentially pull himself together. But Mordecai isn't with it. The problem at hand will not be fixed just by covering it up. And so I need you all to understand today that there are some problems that will not be fixed by covering it up. There are some things that will not go away by covering up our grief over them. And I know that we like to put on a facade and say that everything is all right, because sometimes it's easier just that way. It's easier to cover up the signs of grief, cover up the signs of trauma and trouble on the horizon in public, and then go home and suffer and cry in silence. But today I need to tell you that that's not the truth, that whatever you don't deal with will ultimately deal with you. And there are some things that just cannot be covered up. And when the world around us sends us garments to cover, we have to say, nope, I reject it. And we're going to deal with what makes you uncomfortable. The matter is serious, and I'm not just going to cover up my grief. I'm not going to cover up these problems to help you feel better. I'm going to keep them out in the open until something is done about it. So Esther sends Hathach, her servant, to Mordecai, and Mordecai tells them everything that's going on. He gives Hathach a copy of the written decree for Esther to see for herself, because Mordecai needs her to see this so that she can go to the king and plead to the king king concerning her people. Hathach comes back and he tells Esther what Mordecai says, and then Esther sends a message back through this same servant. But she had many fears. She had not been called in to the king for over 30 days. She understands that she can't just walk up on the king, that to walk up on the king is putting her own life at risk. But can I put a quarter in the meter and bring something to your attention real quick? Hathach, her servant, he's carrying top secret information. And Wiley students and faculty and friends, I need you to understand this is classified information. Yet you never see where he stops on his way back to Esther and tells 85 people what Mordecai said. Instead, he was trusted and trustworthy. And I need you to make sure that you surround your life with some Hathachs, with some people who are just good. That's what that name is translated. The name Hathach means good. Get some good people in your circle, some good people who can help you to navigate critical spaces without adding to their complication. See, some of the problem is that we're surrounded by too many messy people. Can you just lift your hand and say, I will not be messy? And you can't hang with me if you're going to be messy, but I'm going to need you. If you want to be my friend, if you want to roll with me, you're going to have to be more like Hathach, because we got work to do. And our work cannot be distracted and disturbed because you want to be on the internet telling all the business. Now, this is what I need to tell you. Doing what is right is not always easy. And y'all know that. Sometimes making the right choice and standing for what is right can place you on the margins. Having taken a stand and planted your feet on what was right can often make you wonder how you're going to be treated or whether or not you're going to be ostracized by the crowd. Have you ever known what needed to be said, but you did not say it because you were concerned about how those who heard you would react to you? See, the right thing is not always the easy thing, and choosing the way of justice and advocacy, choosing the way that makes a difference in the world, all of these things are inherent to the gospel and therefore to the life of the believer, but still it has risks. And say that word with me, risk, R-I-S-K. If you're online, type it in the comments so you can participate with us too. But Esther was aware that what was being asked of her would put her at risk. She had not been called into the king's chamber for 30 days, and at this time, no one decided they were going to go see the king. The king decided who he was going to see, and any breach of this boundary of protocol would be seen as a challenge to his authority. I need to tell you that he was already sensitive about this because of the boundary that Vashti set with him. It was still at the forefront of his mind. Vashti was not willing to play along with his little game, and it was still at the forefront of everybody's memory. But what Esther knew was that if the king did not call for her, that going to him and with news about one of his most trusted servants, this would be a risk to take. And at this point, this first exchange with Mordecai, Esther is not willing to take the risk. She's like, I hear you, but I'm not really trying to die. Not today. Got some other things to do. But beloveds, if we're going to do anything that is necessary, there's going to be some risk associated with it. Anything that is necessary for the advancement of our people equals taking a risk. Anything that's necessary for your growth equals risk. Anything that is necessary for the growth and well-being and wholeness and development of our people equals taking a risk. Anything that is necessary to your life to fulfill it means that you've got to take some risks. And while Esther is avoiding the risk, Mordecai speaks to her reality. Can I put another bookmark right there and tell you that God is not mentioned in the book of Esther, that we don't see where God has said something or where God has done anything, yet we know that God is present. We also know that God is working. We also know that God is near, that this one is for the people in the room who say, I don't need anybody. And I hear directly directly from God, and I don't trust people, and I don't fool with other women. You know how we do that. I don't fool with women. I don't hang with women because they too this, they too that. How can you say that and you are a woman? Whatever you say other women are, isn't that a reflection of who you are? But God, when God wants something done in the earth, God uses people. And very often we're looking for God to show up in some mysterious way to propel us into our destiny or to make the changes that we need made. And the truth is, God has been sending people all along. Can you take a moment with me and celebrate the people that are sitting around you that God could have sent you today to make a difference? Mordecai speaks to her reality, and it is this, that your attempts at playing it safe won't keep you safe at all. Hey, we are getting into March Madness, one of my favorite times of year. And if there's one thing that basketball teaches us, especially when we get to the tournament season, is that life is not just about one quarter. But you've got to consider the whole game. You've got to consider the entire picture, that what is cool in the first half may not work in the second. And this playing it safe for Esther would be okay for today, but the enemy of her people was playing a long game. And in time, even in the king's palace, Mordecai tells her, you will see your day at their hands too. And here's another aspect of your reality. You can choose not to take a risk. You can choose to keep silent. But deliverance will arise for us from somewhere else. But in the meantime, you and your father's house, you and your daddy's legacy will be gone. And see, we want to make it to the palace, and it's okay with wanting to make it to the palace. In this life, there's nothing wrong with wanting to go to a place where everybody knows your name. There's nothing wrong with wanting to move up to the east side in that deluxe apartment in the sky. There's nothing wrong with wanting to simply go from ashy to classy. We want advancement, and nothing is wrong with it. But I need you to know today that there's always purpose in our promotion. And God will never place you on a platform or in a room without purpose for you to be there. You don't get shifted just to sit. You don't get elected to office to ignore the plight of your people. You don't get a raise to keep on being stingy. You don't get licensed or ordained just to sit in a pulpit and be up front and get served at the luncheon first. God does not place people in your care for them just to be there and look cute, but there's purpose in every blessing. And so Mordecai deals with her reality and then informs her of her responsibility. He says, who knows if the purpose for you being here and coming into the kingdom was this, that maybe God placed you in proximity for this very reason. Yet Esther finds herself in the place of proximity and privilege, and even though she is still at the mercy of a patriarchal system and people whose rank was lower than hers have more access to her husband than she does, even though she still has some social situations and circumstances that she still has to tiptoe around, it did not release her from her responsibility. Understand, there is no platform without responsibility. There is no come up without care for the people who are still in the conditions that God brought you out of. And some of us are wondering, God, why me? God, how me? And here's the answer: because God said so. And I wish that I had some better explanation for you, and perhaps it's really good that I don't, because you don't have to understand everything about God's ways, but you do have to yield to God's will. And God chose you out of whatever conditions you were in. You know your story. You know where you came from. Esther was an orphan, and she's a Jewish girl living in Persian territory. Yet God took her out of Mordecai's house to Ahasuerus' palace. And God just so happened to do it when her people, when her kinfolk were most vulnerable. Here she is, and it is here, after acknowledging the risk, after Mordecai speaks to her reality and reminds her of her responsibility, that now Esther finds her resolve. What do I mean? It's here that Esther now decides on a course of action. And can I tell you, one more thing. Esther is queen and she's still listening to Mordecai. You didn't hear what I just said. That Esther is a whole queen, yet she's still listening to Mordecai. Can y'all lean in one more time? Some of what is holding us back from making a difference in the world is that we don't listen to anybody. We have all the answers that while folks are talking, instead of us listening, we're working out why what they're saying is wrong. And then others of us, we just seek counsel for sport. We like the attention of somebody giving us advice that we know from Jump Street we're not going to take. It's a game. Folks listen to our problems. They listen to our stuff, and then we discredit them. We give ourselves all the reasons why that professor can't possibly know what he or she is talking about. We tell ourselves that my friends can't possibly know what they're talking about. But we have to get to a place where we start listening so that we can grow, where we start listening so that we can be empowered, so that we can start listening so that we can do the things that God has called us to do with counsel and with wisdom. Esther is a whole queen, and she still heeds Mordecai's words. And from listening, it is there that she finds her resolve. We're going to get out of here, but Esther decides that she's going to go to the king, which is against the law. Sometimes the purposes of God will require us to kick down the door of that which is socially acceptable. And she says, if I perish, then I perish, because truth is, she was in a die now, a die later situation. And when you find yourself with your back against the wall, you can't wait it out. You have to take action and do now what you can, because tomorrow is not a guarantee. And beloveds, before she does, before she makes a move, she calls together community. She says, hey, call together all of the Jews who are present in Shushan and ask them to fast for me. Now, the custom of the time was to fast for one day. That was typically what they did. But Esther, in her appeal, says, hey, fast for 3 days. We need to do something a little more intense. That the intensity of what is getting ready to go down requires us to do a little more than what we're used to doing. She knows that she's going to need the help and the power of something greater than her in preparation for what she's about to do. And so she pulls on the power of consecration, but also the power of her crew. Is there anybody in here who understands that it's important to have a crew around you? What do I mean? She found the resolve to handle her responsibility in light of her reality and take the risk. But before she does, she decides to draw real close to God. And not only do we need to draw real close to God, we need a crew around us. We need the prayers of the community around us. That's why we need the chapel on campus. That's why we need our student organizations on campus. That's why we need one another. That's why we can't be fighting against one another, because the work that we have to do in the earth requires us to lean hard on one another. The things that we are challenging and the warfare that we are assigned to, we can't do it on our own, but we need an army. Somebody shout army. I know you can. Shout army. An army who understands that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. See, when Esther finds her resolve, she does not look for her help in the palace, but her help comes from her people. It comes from her people who knew a God who, although is not mentioned, is still a very present help in the time of trouble. Her help comes from a people who have a long history of a God who has delivered them out of the hands of their enemies. Her help comes from her people who have come over a way that with tears has been watered. Her help comes from a people who have been treading their path through the blood of the slaughtered. Brothers and sisters, you may be looking in the wrong direction for your help, and that's why it's not coming. See, every one of us has a responsibility in this earth. Everybody in this room is God's answer to a problem in the earth, but you keep looking to high places, and our help is found right here among the people. Can you tell God thank you for the people? But who is in your friend circle who will turn down their plate with you while you pursue destiny? Who will bombard heaven while you carry out your responsibility? And may I suggest to you today, Wiley, that it's a lot easier to do what we've got to do when we intentionally surround ourselves with support systems who are on the ready. We surround ourselves with support systems who will respond to the call for prayer and consecration on site. And can I also suggest that there are some risks that you've been avoiding, and today it's time for you to take the risk. Can you help me preach my sermon today and just nudge the person that's sitting 6 inches away from you and say, hang up that phone. Facebook is still out anyway. Instagram is not working. They'll get back to that later. They shut it down. They got hacked or something this morning. Take a deep breath. It'll be all right. God wanted you to pay attention to the preacher, but can you nudge them and say, you have purpose in this world? You have a responsibility in this life, and there's some risks that you've got to take for the well-being of our people. And as long as the one who puts breath in your body, as long as you wake up every day and God allows your feet to hit the floor, you have a responsibility to transform this world. You have a responsibility to transform this world, to work to the end that what is right is what we see, to work to the end that what is just is what we experience, to work to the end that every person in this world experiences everything that God has destined for them to experience. But I need you to know that you are enough. I know that the work is a lot, but brothers and sisters, you are enough. You've got to find your resolve, a resolve that includes, I'm going to do what I have to do, and if I perish, give me some monitor up here, that if I perish, then I perish, that even if the worst thing that happens does happen, I'm going to still do my part, because when God calls my name, I know enough about God to know that when I do what's right, that when I love mercy, that when I walk humbly with him, when I've done what he requires, I have this blessed assurance that God will take care of me. And when I do what God requires, I know that I have help that does not come from any ordinary place, but I have help that comes from a God who is the one who overcame this world. Can I tell y'all one more story? My nephew, back in last February, we went to Disney to take my niece and nephew to Disney for the first time. My nephew is 5 years old, and on this trip, he was taking his very first ride on a roller coaster. He had just made the height requirement, so some of y'all know that's a big deal. We got closer to the ride, to the time we were aboard the ride, and my nephew, I could tell he was getting more and more nervous because he got quieter and quieter. But for months, he had seen videos of the roller coaster, and my brother told him all about it, that this is what we're going to do, and we're going to get on this ride. But we get on the roller coaster, and it was definitely a roller coaster. It went forward and it went backward, and some stretches were dark and it moved real fast. But at the end of the ride, I asked Bennett, I said, Bennett, were you afraid? And he said, yeah, Auntie Danny, I was a little afraid. And I appreciated his honesty, y'all. How many of you are honest about being afraid every now and then? I appreciated his honesty, but it wasn't the honesty that shouted me. See, what shouted me was what he said to me next. And I need you to know that his entire immediate family was on this same roller coaster with him at the same time. But this is what Bennett said to me. He said, Auntie Danny, yeah, I was a little afraid, but I knew that I would be okay because my dad had his arms around me the whole time. And this is what I need you to know, that I know that purpose may have you a little little scared. I understand that this life can be a roller coaster sometimes. We don't always know what's coming next. And no matter how fast it goes, no matter how sharp the turns, if it's daylight or darkness or how great the risk, I want you to take heart knowing that all the days of your life, God's arms are wrapped around you and God will take care of you. So be not dismayed, whatever betide, because God will take care of you. Beneath his wings of love abide. God will take care of you through days of toil when hearts do fail. God will take care of you when dangers fierce your path assail. God will take care of you no matter what may be the test. Lean, weary one, upon his breast, because God will take care of you. Come on, Wiley, throw your hands in the air. Wave them like you just don't care and say, God will take care of me. So I'm going to lean in and take the risk. I'm going to lean in to my reality. I'm going to assume responsibility. I'm going to find my resolve, and I'm going to work the works of the one who sent me, even if I have to do it afraid, even if I've got to go against the grain. But while I go knowing full well that God will take care of me. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me that I am his own. Come on, somebody say thank you for walking with me. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for using me to transform this world. Come on, tap somebody and say your life just got better because you sat by me. Come on, tell them your life just got better because you sat next to me. I don't think they can hear me. Bring it down. Don't stop. Just bring it down because I don't think they heard me. I said tap your neighbor and say your life just got better because you sat next to me. Come on, tell them again. Your life just got better because you sat next to me. And I've made up my mind today that I'm going to work for the Lord. I made up my mind today that I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to say what needs to be said. I'm going to do what needs to be done. I'm going to work whatever needs to be worked because as long as I'm alive, the high places that need to be brought down, sign me up. If there's truth that needs to be spoken to power, sign me up. If my people are being oppressed and in bondage, then sign me up. And if I perish, then I perish. But at least I know that we shall be free. Sign me up. I'm going to take the risk. Take the risk. Lean into your reality. Assume responsibility. Find your resolve. And then understand that as you go, God will take care of you. God will take care of you. And I know we're on a college campus, and some of you are saying, I'll get to all that after I graduate, when I grow up for real, but why wait? I told you Esther had to act fast because tomorrow, for her and for us, is not promised. It's not a guarantee. And so if you can do it today, why not do it today? If you can say it today, why not say it today? If you can make the change today, why not make the change today? Because here's what we know, that if we don't do it, deliverance will come from somewhere. The only problem with that is it might be too late for us to experience it. If we wait on another generation or the next person to do it, I don't have to tell you that these are trying and turbulent times. Our people are in need of some more Esthers who will walk in with their hands up saying, if I perish, I will perish. But there's too much on the line for me to remain silent. The grass withers and flowers fade, but the word of God will last forever.
Everybody's standing as we depart from this place. Going to ask every head to be bowed, every eye to be closed. We've heard a word today, and I'm going to ask that we exit in reverence of this holy word, that we might do the work that we have been called to do. The last stanza of our alma mater is a prayer, and the words say, "Go forth inspired, glorious deeds to do." We must take the responsibility to take the risk to go forth inspired to that which God has called us to do, glorious deeds. Go in peace. May God's peace go with you. Amen. We're going to call all the women on the stage for a quick picture, please. All of our young ladies and women, if you all don't mind, please help us by coming on stage very quickly for a picture. Excellent. All of our young ladies, please come on stage with your beautiful hats and fascinators for a quick picture. Thank you.
Put my belongings here.